Have you got
Okay, so Sarah Strong, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast, and been looking forward to this for a little bit. You're an expansion coach, meditation facilitator, and author. I wanted to read this beautiful quote I came across on your website as well. This business of changing your life and looking into the dark nooks and crannies of your soul can be tough and challenging. When you enter the portal with me and your guides, we do it with a sense of fun and adventure. That's the secret sauce to stay on the expansion path. Keep it fun and you will always want more. I find that's the secret to having fun. We had a brief but very expansive phone conversation before this
yep,
podcast, and about different things like plant medicine. You said, well, how, because I've been wanting to do more spiritual content for a bit now, and here we are. So you said, like, what are you willing to discuss? I said, no limits, right? You got to be
yep.
open-minded to, that's the thing about an open mind. It's like an elastic. When it expands, the mind works best when it's open, just like a parachute, right?
Yes.
And so past lives, plant medicine, soul contracts, inner childs, wherever you want to go with this, I'm down to flow. So, yeah.
I've just actually started a 50 days of channeling on Instagram. I've never really done Instagram lives, and I just did one, and the topic on there was about spiritual awakening. So I feel like at this moment in time that we're in, and thank you for that beautiful introduction and reading a quote from my website. I really appreciate that. I forget what I write sometimes. And it's true though. Like the more we can keep it fun and interesting and like an adventure rather than like a chore, then ours we're more drawn to that. We all have inner children, right? We have the inner child, we have an inner teenager, and they can be really difficult sometimes. They can super fuck us up. So those aspects of self, they do need some encouragement. And if it's fun and interesting and kind of a little bit more adventurous, then we can get them to play and we can get them to be on board. So um yeah, it feels like I feel like to start with to share a little bit about spiritual awakening because I feel like a lot of people are kind of going through that energy at the moment and we're in it's 8/8 tomorrow. I don't know when this will air, but I definitely touching on that information, like that energy is really important. The portal to the Lions Gate starts to open on the 26th of July and it actually stays open until the 12th of August and the peak is tomorrow on 8/8. And there is a lot of change happening in the human consciousness in like on earth and so I feel like it's just kind of starting with spiritual awakening is probably a good place and I'm sure a lot of your listeners are going through that as well. So to just kind of touch on the energy of today, it feels very heavy. There's a lot of heaviness, there's a lot of chaos, there's a lot of things that are shifting and changing and what just came through was that it's okay to not know. That in our human conditioning, what's happened so often is that if you don't know something, you're either ridiculed for it or told that you're stupid or that you should know, or there's a lot of shaming around not knowing something. And when we're opening up energy that none of us really have any experience about other than a couple of trailblazers of like I am a trailblazer of spiritual awakening and I'm kind of I stay a little bit ahead of I don't know, uh, human consciousness expanding, I guess. I'm one of the space holders for that energy. Like we just don't know what is through when we're working through the emotions, when we're working through that energy, we just don't know what's on the other side. We really don't know what it is until we fucking get there. And that is the adventure. And it is like getting a machete out and carving a way through a forest that we don't know if there's a snake on the other side of this bush. We don't know if there's some form of danger, or we don't know what's on the other side. So it's really like trusting, like surrender is a very important part of spiritual awakening, of surrendering to the moment, of understanding that we are safe when we don't know. And that's going to bring up a whole lot for people. Like, well, why do I feel shame if I don't know? Why do I feel unsafe if I don't know? Why do I feel something is wrong? Inverted commas wrong, because nothing's right or wrong here. It's just an experience. It's learning and expansion, or experiences can cause like retraction and shutdown,
Ob-
depending on the level of people's growth. So,
the objective experience. I was just having this conversation with a friend yesterday, and it's about feeling the emotions. No emotion is good or bad. It's just about feeling it. And something that came up yesterday too was there is a huge difference between welcoming abundance and being in a safe, energetic space to actually be able to receive it. And two, like healing the inner child. Uh, just the physical body, the psychosomatic experience, uh, can create a lot of health issues too. I was researching and learning about autoimmune. Autoimmune is just a nervous system that's in constant state of fight or flight. The sympathetic nervous system is not at a state of rest. So healing inner wounds, emotional trauma, past hurts does a lot, and it can also heal future generations too. It's important.
yeah, it cleans the timeline. Yeah. Actually, I have a client who is suffering from an illness, and we did a healing yesterday during a session. I won't say too much about, the nature of things just for privacy purposes. And what Spirit was sharing is that literally our mind tells our body what is going on. So if we believe the illness is incurable, if we believe that the illness is going to prolong, we give the illness power with the mind. So, and if the mind go, so I got guided to ask this particular person, are you open to considering that you don't need to stay sick? Like, even though the doctors tell you this is an incurable illness, are you open to believing that is curable? And just that suggestion, just that idea was a new idea. It was a new idea in this person's mind. So our minds are so, so brilliant and so powerful that, and I'm talking about like, this is, I work with the Ascended Masters energies, and Goddess Isis came in to this particular session, and they didn't know uncurable illnesses in ancient Egypt. They just didn't. They really didn't subscribe to the body being so weak that anything was incurable. Everything was like the body. Our bodies are brilliant machines, and so literally everything is curable. It's just when there's such deep-seated dis-ease through being put down as a child, or any form, verbal, sexual, psychological abuse as a kid, or even just being bullied by friends, or like so-called friends, bullies. All of these things can place like blocks in the subconscious, and then as an adult, you come up against those, they can manifest as like a lot of illness. So a lot of autoimmune is rejection of the body in some in some description, in some way, in my experience anyway.
So I was gonna ask you is what's people that can't in the moment for the time being, if they can't see themselves healing, what is actually preventing them? Is it as simple as just being a subconscious resistant belief inside of
Yeah.
themselves that was
Yeah, it can be
blocked?
beliefs. It can be belief system. It can also be suggestion that they don't believe that they are powerful enough to change that. And I mean, a lot of that comes from societal and familial. And most of it really will come from the internal family unit. There's a mother, a father, and I'm actually hearing the collective consciousness right now. A lot of it comes from the masculine because like not necessarily a father, but there's this masculine, it can be a masculine energy that's coming through even a woman that tends to believe less than the feminine. Like I was just having lunch with someone, a friend, and they were sharing that women are better at intuitive things. They're because they've there's that nurture natural more natural in a woman to nurture something, and therefore they've had a tendency to lean on their intuition more in historically than men. And so there's this masculine energy that is really like doubting, more doubting than the feminine energy. I'm not saying necessarily man or woman or any of the under other gender roles. It's really that masculine energy that can reside in all people.
Is that because the masculine correlates to the thinking aspect versus the feeling with
Yeah,
the mother in the
absolutely.
intuitive? Because
Yeah.
in on my journey, one of the things I've learned is that the root it correlates to our relationship with our parents. So they've polarized, especially with religion, the patriarchal type of energy system. So people are less in tune with their emotions. And
Yeah.
so this, my mind goes to all places when it kind of like wonders, right? And people who have a really good relationship with one parent versus the other, that's an external representation of their internal energetic response, isn't it?
Say that last part again.
So if certain individuals, if they have a better relationship with their mother or with their father, would that be an internal manifestation or a representation of an internal manifestation? You know what I mean? Like
Um,
masculine versus feminine type of energy.
um, there's so many variables. Like, yes, it can be. Yeah, absolutely. Um, Obviously, there's so many variables that happen in the subconscious that it's like it's hard to just pin it down to one thing. When it comes to relationships, especially familiar relationships, I can, it's just like I have psychic vision into the collective. So sometimes it's hard to decipher, like we really cannot say something that relates to all of humanity in that respect. But yeah, absolutely. It can definitely, things in the subconscious affect all relationships,
Eh,
like, and it can be the smallest thing in a child's mind could have created like it's unsafe to connect to a woman or mum, or it's unsafe to connect to man or their dad or men. Like we just don't know the intricacies of the subconscious. I mean, I read the subconscious for a living, so
mhm.
I find it a little bit easier to access that information than say, someone that doesn't have psychic ability. Um, so something I picked up on and that came through really, really clearly as you were chatting about. Can you tell me your name, please?
Steve.
Steve. Oh, sorry, Steve.
Steve,
I
Steven,
didn't know that.
Stephanus, whatever you
That's
prefer. Yeah.
that's great, Steve. Thank you. Um, so when you were sharing something about people being disconnected from their emotions, and I mean, obviously, we've experienced that for a long, long, long time in humanity and in masculine and feminine expressions, in all people. And what the message was from that is that people, when people are disconnected from their emotions, they're more easily controlled. So it makes sense, right? That this world has been about control. It has been about how can we disconnect people from what they really need so we can sell them what they think they need to fix them and all, that kind of bullshit. Whereas now, coming into the age of Aquarius, we're coming into an age that we're shifting out of that. We're shifting more into, it's so important to get into the emotional body. It's so important to connect with our emotions in order to know what we need, what we require on an internal level. Like the next level of the human evolution is about internal, about being connected inside of yourself, inside of your psyche, and doing the work, like to unearth the pain, the blocks, the frustrations, because that will unlock the
The
bliss and the joy.
the spiritual surrender, that's a topic that actually came up in a podcast that I just did yesterday. And this is something, so there was a point in history where there was the prohibition. Now the government regulates. Alcohol is not prohibited, but something that I've been wrestling with. So I quit drinking, used to smoke cigarettes, had a lot of habits that I've detached from. And with the topic of alcohol, I wanted to ask what your experiences maybe, or what you can tap into the collective field is. What's your feeling on how alcoholism, however often people drink, that whatever the need is to feel, the, the more spiritually connected an individual is, would it be fair to say that they would feel no need to drink at all? Or are is certain types of alcohol different, like wine, for example? Where's, is there, because nothing's really black and white, where's the line there? Because I just, my body rejects it. It's like
Yeah.
poison to it, you know? So what are you getting from that?
Well, what's coming through to share right now, I have my own personal experience on this. I don't drink myself. And I've had my own journey. And what I heard Spirit just say is that we have a lot to learn from nature. Now, from animals, plants, and the cycles of nature. Now, there is not one single animal in nature who would even think about drinking alcohol, right? Obviously, it's it alters the brain in a way that, obviously, if people drink too much, the body becomes uncontrollable, right? So in nature, that is the thing that every animal wants to avoid, because when you're uncontrollable, you're very, 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 very vulnerable. And I've never ever heard this before, Steve. This is like really new information for me and really beautiful, is that in the human consciousness, alcohol has been used to numb emotions, to either feel, to either heighten an experience when someone's feeling happy, or to try and numb an experience if someone is feeling sad. Now, both of those things aren't necessary. Our body produces serotonin when we're happy, and if we want to go fall asleep, or if we want to, obviously there's lots of ways that people suppress emotions, that just by avoiding them internally. Um, but in nature, with they're thinking about the vulnerability of the body when alcohol enters the system, Like some people, if you're alcoholic, you just don't know what's going to happen in the body. You
Yeah.
could black out, you could one drink could like get you really drunk or not at all. And in a non-alcoholic then alcohol isn't really an issue, right? And I know a lot of the spiritual community, some people don't drink at all, some people still drink. I just feel it's a very personal journey. Obviously, if people are alcoholic, it's advised not to drink at all,
Yeah.
as alcohol will destroy their life, So, I mean, it's a very personal journey. If people are not alcoholic, I don't see any point. So, what I'm hearing is that every single thing in life is put here to help us in some way. Even drugs, even alcohol, even
Part of the
like,
path. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So every single thing on earth is to be embraced in some way. Because if we are, I mean, obviously, an alcoholic embraces alcohol by not drinking it. A non-alcoholic can embrace alcohol by having a glass of wine once a month or once a week, whatever. And all the medicines, all the drugs, all the things, every single human has an opportunity to embrace the things in the way that they need to embrace them or not. Like
Yes.
there is an embracing or a not embracing. And what the illustration of this right now is that if you are rejecting something on earth with a feeling of shutting it down in some way, there is something within that needs to shut down. And if you can be at a neutral place or be at a place where you're like, oh yeah, cool, I can like take it or leave alcohol, I can take or leave this drug, I can take or leave this food, I can take or leave this person, I can take or leave this situation, you become bulletproof, for lack of a better word. The channel I'm channeling this,
Spiritual bullet.
but
Yeah.
you can get to a place where if you are not swayed left or right, like two or four, to any particular thing, you become very, very, very strong.
So when the mind is so fortified, this is also something that came up yesterday. Um, because from what I've learned is that so when raising the Christ holy anointing oil, the sacred fluid, it's three things are like do not do. Uh, Overeating, sex, and alcohol consumption because it destroys the oil. And Italians, they love their alcohol. Can someone drink and live a spiritually fulfilled life? Because when you reach enlightenment, could you essentially consume poison and it not affect your body? Because a
Yeah,
response I got
yeah,
yesterday was, why
completely.
would you want to, right?
But
Get to the point where it wouldn't even affect you. But
yeah,
why would you want to consume poison at the same time, too, right?
to prove that it doesn't affect you. That's the point. See, I had a guru once, many years ago, and he would do things just to say my mind is beyond even this liquid going into my body. He would literally, I mean, he would share lots of crazy stories about just drinking an entire bottle of whiskey and being sober as a judge, like literally just to prove
Yeah.
the point that he doesn't like believe in that. He doesn't subscribe to that. His mind is beyond that, so he could drink it and then have absolutely no effect.
Same reason why Shaolin monks can walk up the side of a mountain without any ropes because they just like Neo in the Matrix, you realize that the whole
They believe that their
construct
feet can stick to
is
the mountain.
is
Exactly.
in his mind. Yeah, he
Yeah.
they detached from the physical um, laws of
Reality.
gravity. They
Yeah.
realize that they are the earth.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly the same. Yeah. Yeah. That is not normal. That is very,
No.
very, very
Only
rare.
a master could do that. But
Yeah, exactly. Like it's very rare for like an average human person to have that much control over their mind.
Mhm.
It takes years of practice. It takes years of like
Discipline,
discipline,
persistence. Yeah.
even just belief. Like most humans don't have that amount of resolve, you know.
Yeah, it depends how evolved their soul is too, because I've been I asked a psychic channeler about past lives because I've been trying to dig. He wasn't picking up anything, and I'd love to introduce him to you at some point because
Yeah, I love that.
he's an author about healing the wounded inner child, the ex-Navy vet, and like I can do certain things, but there's things that are preventing me from reaching my full potential. Part of it is living environment right now, which I'm working on. But I was diving into there's a correlation between blood types and the star system that you're from.
Oh, really?
From what I've researched. Now, I could be wrong, right? I'm still learning, but I wanted to know if you were able to pick up anything on that
So tell me
or if you
more
have
about
any
that.
research.
That's the first I've learned of that.
Uh, B type bloods
Hmm.
are from Sirius from the research that I've done.
Oh yeah. Okay. I have never done any research to that effect, so my human mind doesn't know anything about that, but it's possible.
Because
Why
everything,
why is that important to you?
that's a similar question that he asked as well. Why does it matter, Steve? Why does it matter who you were in a past life? I said, well,
Yeah.
because it's just like with what's it called? The your life path, right?
Yeah.
So I'm a 32, and which is a 5 deduced down unless it's master 11, 22, or 33. And I had this conversation with a friend that origins are just as important as the refinement process.
Yeah.
So where we came from, where we're going, all that exists is the now energy, but within that now, there is a whole range of experiences and possibilities.
Yeah.
Like for every every possible future timeline already exists in the present, and depending on the
Yeah.
actions that manifest, that it's called the quintessential beyond the quantum.
Yeah.
Everything that exists in the subconscious, right?
Yeah.
So
So
it matters because it helps people when someone knows themselves, they're able to
well,
connect to
yeah,
more,
but
right?
there's a lot of different ways to get the information. So it
Yes.
doesn't like what I'm hearing is that it doesn't really matter what blood type you are or whether it connects to that certain star system. Like there's tons of other ways of learning, of like deciphering where you're from. Like I can look at a person and go, you're from Sirius, you're from like just from their features.
Yeah.
So like it's I don't know, sometimes like things are really convoluted that don't need to be so convoluted, right? Like humans fucking confuse things and complicate things. So
Overcomplicate things. Yeah,
yeah.
simplistic. That's the process that I'm in now is taking a step back. Uh, there's on the railroad track here in my city, there's a sign that says look, listen, live. So
Hmm.
I made the correlation to when we observe and we listen, we live a more fulfilled life too, because observing isn't really an action, it's something that we do. The word uh, here is in heart, two ears combined make a heart. When we lead with our heart, right? Less is more.
Yeah.
Observe and listen. We can learn so much from that, right?
Yeah. Well, and also it keeps you alive. The point of that sign is that as long as you're looking and listening out for the train, you're gonna stay alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but yeah, but then on a deeper level, yeah, it's really beautiful.
On the
You're
spiritual.
gonna be more alive with you. To your point, if you're observing your environment and you're listening to yourself, you're actually going to create more aliveness in the body. 100%.
The was it the ancient monks? They mapped the entire auric field pretty much.
The
Like
auric
they said
field.
the auric field, all the layers of the aura. Because you said you can just look at someone. That's the thing with the internet. Artificial light distorts the true light grid because it's artificial, right?
Nothing is artificial, really. Like
Compared to the organic grid, like the matrix grid and then the natural grid.
it's not they're not separated like that. At a base level, all cells are actually the same, like all atoms. To a quark level, everything is the same
In terms of light at its
in terms of everything,
source. Yeah.
not just light. Literally, well, light is obviously a different particle, but at a at a quantum level, every single thing is the same.
Hmm.
My cells, the cells of this sofa, the cells of like this computer, the cells of the star at a quantum level are exactly the same.
So that's what masters have literally been able to do anything because they're truly submersed into knowing that everything is just one
Yeah,
entity and they
everything
are
is
just
one.
connected to it. They don't label it, look at it, analyze it. They just become it.
Well, yeah, and I believe that these beings, because I've done a lot of like I have a life coach, an intuitive coach, and we just kind of unpack lots and lots and lots of different energy in every session. And Martin Luther King Jr. has come into one of my sessions. Gandhi has come in, and they all every single being that comes to Earth that who wants a Yeshua Christ, every single one comes with a certain MO. Like they come with an idea, a like very clear idea of what they want to achieve. So I feel like when different masters come to Earth, they come with the purpose of I'm going to show these humans something that they don't know yet. And to illustrate it in whatever way they need to illustrate it, they master whatever they need to master and then illustrate it to us in a way that we can understand and in a way that will shift our consciousness in some way. So it doesn't actually matter what it is, it doesn't matter what the master is trying to prove, it just matters that they do it. And even Gandhi, he didn't achieve what he came to achieve. He thought he was ascending when he was just ascending the body. Whereas ascension is not about just being out of the body. It's that's you need to ascend with the body. That's what we're doing now in the ascension of Earth and humanity is with the body. It's important to be embodied. Even Martin Luther King Jr., he didn't entirely achieve what he wanted to do because he created a movement in resistance.
That's,
And
yeah,
resistance creates more resistance. So every time he was like, why aren't I getting anywhere? That he couldn't, and then, but Yeshua came and had the imprint. He was way beyond his time, and he did that intentionally because he wanted to have that impact on humanity in the way that he did, and he actually fully achieved what he came here to achieve. In showing humanity. Although then he was completely misunderstood, like so that was the path that he intended that path. He came, he did what he intended to do, and was completely misunderstood, and then attacked and killed,
I
or
came, I saw, I conquered.
not killed. He was yeah, crucified for what he stood for.
Something I heard recently from a friend is that the master numbers, they don't always accomplish everything that they want to because of their heart. So they're not able to spend as much time in self-development. Have you heard anything like that? When they have such a big mission, just like Martin Luther King, he couldn't accomplish everything that he wanted to. When you create such a big
Well,
following, right? Because you're serving so much.
in like it just comes down to understanding energy. So if you look at Martin Luther King Jr., it's exactly the point that that point was made to me. That point, like I didn't create that idea. That I'm sure like he wanted to resist what was going on, but didn't realize that resistance caused more resistance. So it depend like if he understood that energy structure on a deeper level, he would have gone, oh, like surrender is the how to oppose resistance. So if there was a surrender point to what he was doing, then that would have allowed a different energy flow to happen. It's like Einstein, right? Einstein searched and searched and searched. He was like, obviously a Nobel Prize winning scientist, yet he would look and study and then look some more and study some more. And the closer he got, the more he found out, the more he knew he couldn't find out all of it.
That's something that I learned too. Like even in Ant-Man, when he goes subatomic, the more you know, the less you actually know because you tap into all that is and ever can be. Like the more you know, the deeper you go, the less you know.
Yeah,
Because
but the more that
it's
you
infinite.
and
We can never know it all.
yeah,
The source knows
well,
everything.
it's
We tap into,
unknowable.
yeah. It's constantly it's a self-learning algorithm. It's constantly growing and evolving too.
Yeah.
It's it's that's why there's a quote that says science cannot comprehend God. Like it's incomprehensible. And that's why spiritual surrender is so important to receive, right? Not trying to figure it out, just allowing it to come.
Um, I feel like there's an element of like understanding that is necessary before surrender. Because if you don't know why you're surrendering or what you're surrendering for, not even to, but why surrender, the human mind will not let you do that. So then there needs to be a certain level of information that's fed into the brain in order for the brain and the ego to be like, oh, the next step of this part of evolution is to let go and not know.
Like an internal mapping system knowing
No, no mapping,
no.
like an understanding of something. Like you can't map that, really. I mean, I guess you could
Being
decide, okay, I need to or anybody can decide, I want to know these 5 points of information. So, what is a spiritual, do I want to have, number one, do I want to have a spiritual awakening? Number two, what is that going to fucking feel like? What am I going to do after? What is the outcome? And then where do I go from there?
so being certain of where you're going, in other
But
words.
then the answer to those questions is not completely definable.
But it comes when you're certain of where you know you're going, like when the
No,
subconscious
it
mind
comes
is,
once you've experienced it. You understand it
yeah,
once you're moving through it. I mean, some people, I mean, it's difficult to even understand it entirely. But
but
like,
we try though, don't we, to understand sometimes.
yeah, but that's the nature of the human mind. It needs to have some form of information in order to decipher, whether it wants to be involved or not, you know.
Yeah.
So But yeah, it feels like we've come full circle, Steve, with that. And um, just to kind of wrap up, do you have any final questions that you would like to ask?
Um, what was your kind of was your wake up call that led you onto this path of healing and gave you the ability to tap in? Because we didn't quite get into plant medicine or anything like that, but
Yeah.
what was it?
Well, so I could just touch on like a lot of that in this
Mhm.
moment. Um, I was I came into this lifetime an awakened soul. So that doesn't mean that my human was awakened. In the last 5 years, I've had a memory recall that just before I fully went, like at time of conception, I did a timeline check to make sure it was that it was 2020, that the split was going to happen, and the split between people that got the vaccination and didn't. You know, I timeline checked that just before I was came into conception, the beginning of my lifetime. So I didn't come in through a karmic cycle. So I came in with information that I knew was going to be necessary at this time, right? So, but my human went into amnesia, as we all do, right? That's what we sign up for when we become human. Even though if we're like super advanced souls, every single motherfucking soul who comes to Earth signs up for the amnesia. We know about the amnesia. And then if you're like me, I planted all sorts of different awakening points along my timeline. So when I was 17, I started doing mushrooms. I did mushrooms a lot. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, all my lifetime, really. I've done some form of plant like journeying. And it wasn't in medicine then. I was just doing it recreationally at that time. And like it was starting to have the effect on my psyche that I wanted it to have, because it started to open up my brain in ways that were not of this world and only accessible through that form of, at the time, I saw it as a drug. So I had awakenings like throughout my whole life. I've always been psychic, a medium, a channel, empathic, telepathic. And so I had a lot of spiritual experiences as a child, as a teenager, early adult, all throughout my whole life. And I would hear spirits, I would see things, I had many experiences with ghosts. So I always knew of the other side. I always had a big connection with some form of connection. I learned when I was 19 that I was Pleiadian, and that kind of just planted something quite deep in my psyche. And then from it was in 2016 that I really, well, actually, I had a big awakening in about 2004, when I learned that I wasn't going to have children. I was going to break up with my husband, and like my whole life started to change in 2004. And then in 2016, I had another awakening where I started reading this book connected to all the Ascended Masters. And I was starting to align with all of their energies. Then I started reading Oracle cards for people in 2018. And then in 2020, I met a coach. I met my coach, who I still currently, I've worked with her for the last 5 years, and really helped put me on the trajectory of my path. So there's been lots and lots of points of awakening along my timeline. And then in 2020, oh, from 2016, it was very directional, and I started to step into my path. And then 2020 fully started living on path. And then so that I've lived on path the last 5 years. And it was, really, I mean, it helped me to have a coach. I'm a like true believer that everyone needs someone, whether it's a therapist, a coach, a counselor, someone external to your own little brain. Like so Einstein said, the same thinking that got us into a state of mind cannot get us out of it, because there is like it needs to have an external influence and perspective in order to shift from there. So yeah, and then I continue to have spiritual awakenings. I did a big soul retrieval on Monday that changed my timeline, changed the timeline since I was 6 years old. So that's the energy that I've kind of been swimming in this week, which is
Quantum
pretty fucking
quantum
intense.
jump.
Well, not exactly. It's more like undoing the past to recalibrate. I was recalibrating my timeline of the timeline of my life. So it's kind of like um reverse quantum engineering.
Interesting.
Basically. I don't know how you'd like term timeline. It's timeline shifting. I shifted a timeline.
It's beautiful. Thank you
So,
for that summary. That was wow. Yeah,
yeah.
summarized it quite beautifully. So-
Oh, I think I don't want to bore people.
Gotta have fun with it too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
Perfect. I'll put your information in the description in case anyone wants to get in touch with you. And
Yeah, amazing.
appreciate your time. It's been quite the adventure in the time that we shared together. And
Yeah.
thank you for agreeing to come on.
Yeah, my pleasure. Okay.
Great. Bye for now.
Bye.